Hey folks, how you doing? Welcome back to Lewiston, the way I see it. Today I want to talk briefly about the new homeless protocols laws that law enforcement needs to abide by. And I'll tell you a brief story of my day yesterday. I received a call from one of my tenants in a building that I bought last year. Telling me that there is a homeless couple that's been terrorizing the building. Now, the woman in this couple is actually the daughter of another tenant, and she shows up there all the time, mainly because her 8 or 9-year-old son lives with her mother there. So the way the story goes is her drug dealing boyfriend, and he was recently they're arrested by the Lewiston police for dealing drugs. They're really far gone on meth, I guess. I'm not a toxicologist, but that's what I understand. And he's been flashing a taser around this building and threatening to burn the building down. So when I got the call from the tenant again yesterday, I headed over there and I called the Lewiston police. They asked me not to go in. We originally thought they were in the basement because they have done that in the past, gone down there and smoked meth. I agreed not to go in and I'd wait for the police. So I did. They showed up. 2 cruisers rolled in. And as it turned out, this meth-loving couple was actually sleeping in a truck in front of the building. And understand, right, this is like 11 o'clock in the morning. So the police made contact. At that point, we noticed that the girl had been puking out the window all over the street right in front of my building. And, the police spoke to them. They know them well. They've been there before, and I didn't even know that. They'd been there before. And they allowed us, how they shouldn't be sleeping in a truck on the street, let alone being in my building. But it's at that point that I got an education. Again, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, right? I'm just a dumb redneck landlord who is not as evolved as everyone, as the beautiful people in Lewiston. What I found out is there's a new statute that is a state law, not a Lewiston law, that deals with how you have to handle law enforcement contact with homeless people. Statute 17A of the Maine Criminal Code. And what that states is that these people aren't allowed to be arrested, for the following things, and I'll read it. Criminal trespass is not an arrestable offense. Disorderly conduct is not an arrestable offense. Indecent conduct is not an arrestable offense. Possession of scheduled drugs is not an arrestable offense. And drinking in public is also not an arrestable offense. So what that means to me as a landlord is every time that I find these people in the basement of my buildings pissing, shitting, and puking all over the place, doing drugs, and harassing my tenants, if I call the police, and it's through no fault of the police, they're bound to this. They can't take these people away. They can't arrest them for breaking into my buildings and damaging my buildings and harassing my tenants. It's like I've been dropped into an alternate universe somewhere. I'm not evolved enough, to understand this. So, and I'm willing to learn. I am. All you sign-carrying people at city council meetings that want low-barrier homeless shelters in Lewiston, feel free to contact me and, sort of coach me up on why any of this makes sense, because I can't figure it out. People conflate homelessness and drug addicts, and I'm just baffled by all of that, okay? Which came first? Did these people become homeless, and then because they were homeless, they became drug addicts? Or is it more likely, statistically probable, that they became drug addicts, and as a result of being a drug addict, they then became homeless? And I think it's an important distinction, one which the more evolved people are unable to make, that what we're really talking about here are addicts, not homeless people. Listen, if I walked into the basement of one of my buildings and there was a young mother, huddled up next to one of my boilers with her young toddler, I would be the first one to actually help them. I'll give them money. I'll get them a place to stay. And if it's a motel, I'll do whatever I have to do to help them, okay? But there is a big difference between the young mother with a toddler and the seriously mentally ill, and I know some of them are here in Lewiston, and I feel terrible about that. And I'm willing to help them. But I'm at the end of my rope, with all of the drug dealers and the hookers and the drug addicts. And I'm just making this up, so I'm sure I'll hear from a few of you that I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Let's say there's 200 of these people that are destroying downtown Lewiston. Okay, there are many, many thousands of people that live in downtown Lewiston, and none of the beautiful people care about them. The many thousands of people that are adversely affected by 200 people that desperately need help, and I agree with the fact that they need help, by making everything legal and holding no one responsible for their actions, is not helping the 200 people, first of all. Give them free needles, give them knock-on, give them a free place to shit, piss, and puke. You can somehow convince yourself that you're helping those people by doing that. I don't agree. And I promise you, I'm not alone. But it doesn't matter. There is a very large local, a vocal minority in Lewiston that decides all these things. And ultimately, they just feel real good about themselves. They can gather back in their safe space and their emotional support animals and sit there and just feel awesome that they're helping these 200 souls that are an absolute mess and are making life miserable for everything else. For everybody else in Lewiston. So anyway, that's what I've got to say. You just remember statute 17A. Here's how we have to deal with the homeless people, regardless of how it affects everybody else. And I should say before going, the police that rolled up on this scene couldn't have been more professional. Good guys, they're just as hamstrung as all of us, They're doing what they need to do by law, and I respect that. So I don't want anyone to think that I'm speaking poorly of the police, because in this instance, they could not have been more helpful, and they did everything they could. So if you want to hear more of this, and I've got many more topics I want to speak on, we're going to talk more about decriminalizing prostitution in Lewiston, the Church of Safe Injection, low barrier homeless shelters. I've got a long list. If you're interested in all what I have to say, just hit the subscribe button. And I'll look forward to talking to you next time. Thank you.